All right, this is take 2 on Storm's Autoflower adventure in Storm's garden. So let's do some editing magic and flip this camera around because I can't flip it on the screen. So here we go. So this is going to be a deep dive into the autoflowering cannabis plant. So we've got a couple books here in our laps. We've got the Greg Green's Breeder's Bible and Julie Holland's Pot Book. So let's dive into Julie Holland's Pot Book and find out exactly what cannabis is. So cannabis is, a annual herb. We'll just put it shortly like that. And cannabis has some sisters in its family. So cannabis is in the Cannabaceae family, along with humulus, hops, and celtis, hackberries, and sugarberries. So cannabis is actually sisters to beer and some wines. So in the cannabis species, it has some subspecies. So we have sativa and indica and Ruderalis, which is what we're going to talk about today. And also this mysterious subspecies that I really would like to find. It would totally be the crescendo of my autoflower adventure, and that's Chinensis. You're probably never going to hear about this ever again. Chinensis is the 4th subspecies of cannabis. So sativa, indica, Ruderalis autoflowering, and Chinensis. Chinensis. C-H-I-N. So that is Chinensis right there. And so let's take a deeper dive into autoflowering plants. We have the Breeder's Bible here. And autoflowering plants are a plant that automatically flowers. So normal cannabis plant, indica and sativa, mature to the light patterns that they are put in. So a vegetative plant gets more light than it does darkness, and a flowering plant gets an even amount of light to darkness. And that was so 12 hours on and 12 hours off will make a cannabis plant flower, a normal phototropic plant flower. So Ruderalis does not respond to that. Let me read this. Cannabis ruderalis is not very popular. Let me remind you that this was written in 2005, and autoflower and ruderalis is getting much more popular. So, I believe it's going to make a revolution in the cannabis industry. So, Cannabis ruderalis is not very popular with growers because of its autoflowering properties. This means that the species does not flower according to photoperiod, but flowers according to age and maturity. Growers like to control their flowering properties, so this is very rarely used. So I really couldn't find a better description. I could read some of its characteristics. So Ruderalis height is small, average between 6 inches to 4 feet. Nodes are very short, internodes with much branching. Small and thick leaves, and the blades are usually between 4 and 6 blades per leaf. So that is autoflower. And to give you an example of an autoflower is the Manahuska Thunderfuck. So in the 70s, work began on a strain that could withstand the extreme climate and conditions of the Alaskan cold weather. Since sativa and indica plants are rarely found growing naturally in the wild in countries that have a cold climate, other species would have to be used. Ruderalis is a very popular species of cannabis found in cold climates. Ruderalis was used in the development of MTF because of its thick leaves and weatherproof sturdiness. The Alaskan people started to cross Ruderalis strains with high-yielding indica plants. Thus, the result was a new strain of indica ruderalis species called Manahuska Thunderfuck. So, this is a Ruderalis grows in the northern regions where the sun does weird things. Northern China and Alaska and Russia, places like that. So, that is Storm's Deep Dive. Thanks for watching, and we'll get back to the show. This is going to be my very first experience with autoflower seeds, and I'm going to try to take y'all through the entire process. This is the germination stage. So, germination stage consists of a seed and water and a radicle. So the radicle is going to pop out, and until you see cotyledons, until you see green, until those first seed leaves pop out, you're still in the germination stage. Only when you see the cotyledons, the green, is when you've hit the very beginning of the seedling stage. So I have a bit of a precarious setup here. I've already done this 2 or 3 times, and somehow I didn't have the settings right on my phone, so it was actually a time lapse, and you can't learn anything from a time lapse. So we're going to extract these seeds and put them into their cocoa homes while they're still a seedling. So whenever I plant into these cups, I definitely don't suggest anyone using clear cups. I like using clear cups for teaching purposes only, so clear cups it is. Secondly, I like for my plants to use their cotyledons to push up out of the dirt, and I like for that cotyledons to be the ground level. And I've noticed that whenever I put about 1 inch of soil in a cup, that the seedling goes up to here and the cotyledons like to stop right about here. So I can fill the cup up with dirt and support that spindly little seedling. So here we go. Now I'm going to use my Storm special technique. I'm going to squeeze down on this pipette here and extract the seed. Okay. Let's see if I can extract the seed. So this is a technique that I haven't quite perfected, but it works. I've done it several times. So let's see if I can do this in front of the camera here. So I have the seed on the end of the pipette. I'm going to squirt it into its new home. Bam, I did it with one. See if I can do it with the other in the visual. Bam, okay, so we have the seed right here. This is the one with that awesome radicle. You can kind of see it there still. Let's see. Let's see if I can be a good filmographer and document this properly. That's blurry. We don't play with blurry. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Just these 2 cups, Storm. Here we go. Going up and over. Here we go. It's like this little kiss happens. It's just not catching on to the seed shell like it did the other 2 takes. So, if it doesn't want to work, just be a normal person and just put it in there. But Storm is persistent. So, honestly do not want to touch it with my fingers, so I'm just going to go get a spoon or something. Hold on, I got a theory. Yep, theory was correct. Too much water in there. If you get too much water in there, it does this weird thing where when it breaks the water surface, it doesn't want to work. So, we got those little seeds in there. Can't see diddly squat. Awesome. So, they're in there. I'm going to try to point that radicle down, where it's, going down into the soil, and put that soil around it. Do the same with this one. Going to try to, this one's really hard to tell. I think that one will just orientate itself. I'm not going to bury them or pack the dirt down at all. I'm just going to let them do their thing. And now we wait. So that is how I train. The takeaway from this is the soil level and the positioning of the radical. Make sure it's always pointing down to where it can push that seed shell up, and those cotyledons, those very first seed leaves, can be born. What's the word? Man, there's a word for that. But so it can break that soil surface and the soil level, so that whenever it gets all tall and spindly, you can put more soil in there. So this has been a germination episode and a replanting of a seedling. Thanks for watching Storm's Garden, and that's our show. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, it's our planet, so plant it.